Oh my god. Yeah. You're gonna be stuck. What the heck? Excuse me. I can't control him. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I'm super excited to film this video for you guys. I'm going to be recreating the makeup that I did on my wedding day. I'm also going to be giving you guys some tips and tricks for how to do your own makeup on your wedding day. It can totally be done. If you are not a pro at makeup, then by all means get someone to do your makeup, but it's a step that if you feel comfortable doing your makeup, don't waste the money on it. And there are ways to do your makeup and still feel relaxed and still pamper yourself on your wedding day, because it's so important that you feel beautiful and you're relaxed and you're not worrying about everything on your wedding day. It needs to be a special day for you and your significant other. And just remember, all those people that are there, they're there for you. And do not feel bad to ask people to do things for you on your wedding day. It's your special day. And I wish that more people understood that. Get yourself a group of friends and family members that are going to be there to take care of you. Do not turn into a bridezilla. Nobody wants that. But they're there to help you. So if you have something that you need done, ask them to do it while you're doing your makeup or your hair or whatever you end up doing on your day. But anyways, I wanted to show you guys what the makeup I did on my wedding day was. I wanted to go for something really natural, glowy, just simple and yet beautiful and radiant looking. And I think I achieved that. It's been almost 2 years since I got married, and I haven't done this exact makeup look using these exact products since my wedding day. And after I've done it, I'm like loving it. I'm like, I'm gonna do this every day. But then again, I'm kind of happy that I haven't done it because it made this moment really special for me to go back through this process and talk it through with you guys. I had you guys vote on Instagram stories if you'd rather see this or a smoky eye how-to, and most of you voted for this. So I will be doing a smoky eye how-to eventually. Oh, my cat is just running rampant today, so if you hear all the jingling, that's just him running around. But anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that it gives you some helpful tips. If you are newly engaged or you're about to get married, I hope you find this video helpful. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to all the future brides or grooms out there. I hope you enjoy this video. How many times have I said that? Please subscribe if you haven't already, and let's go ahead and jump right in. Okay, so I already have my brows done, and I did that because back when I got married, I had no idea how to do my brows. Like, I was really just getting into makeup when we got married, so I am excited to use, you know, a bunch of these same products, but maybe in a little bit different way than I did before. Anyway, I use a brow pomade now, and I did not use a brow pomade back then, so I just filled in my brows off camera. The first thing I'm going in with is the Milani eyeshadow primer. I love this. You guys know this is my absolute favorite. I have not been using it like hardly at all lately because I've been using the Smashbox one. But you just need the teeny tiniest amount. You need like just that much on your finger. You don't need very much at all. And you can see I have quite a bit of veining on my eyes. And although this is a mostly clear primer, once I pack on like my cream shade, the veins almost disappear. So while that dries, I'll talk to you guys about what eye stuff I'm going to be using. First thing is this matte LA Colors eyeshadow palette. This has 5 shades in it. You get a cream, a light transition shade. This is basically my skin tone. Kind of a warm brown, a deeper brown, and then a black. And then I also used my L'Oreal Infallible eyeshadow in the shade Amber Rush, which I absolutely love this. So yeah, I'm excited. I haven't done this eye look since my wedding day, so it's kind of exciting to, you know, do this again and kind of bring back some memories. And I will be 100% honest with you guys. I don't remember exactly what I did, but I kind of looked at the pictures and I can kind of guesstimate what I did based off my knowledge of makeup at the time. So let's go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to take kind of a fluffy brush like so and go into the cream shade. I probably mixed those two. And I'm just going to pack this all over the eye. I'm pretty sure that this little palette is still available at Dollar General is where I always see it. And I think it's like $1 or $2 maybe. I will say it's not overly pigmented, like compared to my Morphe shadows or like the Anastasia Soft Glam palette. But for me, 2 years ago, when I didn't know a lot about makeup, I think that this was perfect, and I still think that this is a great beginner-friendly option because, like I said, it's super affordable. Next, I'm going to go into this shade right there, and this is going to be like our transition shade. And I always start in the outer corner and work my way in. And I just like to build this up slowly till I get the pigmentation that I want. By the way, I am using all drugstore brushes. This one is a fluffy one by Wet n Wild. And I feel like these shadows just blend so well too. And I think that might be because they're not ultra pigmented, but they are super buildable, as you can see. Okay, I'm going to take another Wet n Wild brush. This one is fluffy, but it's a little bit more tapered in and kind of goes out. It's not just your typical fluffy brush. And I'm going to go into this darker brown, and we're going to focus that mostly on the outer part. And I am barely using any pressure at all to sweep that into the crease, because you don't want it to look too dark. Depending on your personality and your makeup style and everything, it could be different than mine, but on my wedding day, I wanted something that looked effortlessly beautiful. I would say out of this palette, this darker brown is the hardest to blend, so you just gotta work with it a little bit. Take your time. If you're going to be doing your own makeup on your wedding day, make sure that you give yourself enough time. You do not want to try to rush your makeup or else it's going to end up terrible. I didn't do winged liner. I didn't do false eyelashes. I was like, I ain't got time for that. I'm not a pro at that. If you are a pro at that, power to you. You go ahead and do it, but I could not do that. Alright, time to add a little bit of shine using the L'Oreal Infallible eyeshadow in Amber Rush. I've talked about this before, but it's just this beautiful rose gold. So much. So I just take it on my ring finger here, and we're going straight onto the eyelid. These eyeshadows are basically like pressed pigments, so they work best with your fingertips, in my opinion. Alright, then I'm taking my blending brush and we're going back in here. Next up, we're going to take a mix of the brown and the black. Tap that off, and we're just going to put that straight on the outer corner. And I'm using this SL Miss Glam angled eye brush to do that with. Then I'm just going to take the shade again right there on my fluffy brush and go over everything and make sure it's all blended out. So now I'm going to go back into Amber Rush on my finger again, and we're just going to keep intensifying it. Mostly towards the inner corner, but I do go ahead and drag it all the way across. Go over everything. And if you feel like it's just a little bit too dark and you want it lighter, which I'm okay with it, but you can go back in with that original brush and go over the edges with that light shade, and it'll just kind of lighten everything up. So there you have it. It's just very simple, very pretty, just kind of glossy and just kind of understated, because once I do my mascara, it really just makes the eyes pop. Alright, we are moving on to the face. So I already did moisturize. I just used, I think it's Cetaphil moisturizer. I keep it in this little bottle just because the other bottle's like huge. I have no idea what I used on the day of our wedding. I honestly don't remember, but I do remember everything else that I used. So for primer, I used the Makeup Forever Step 1 Skin Equalizer Smoothing Primer. I do not use this all over my face. I just get about this much on the tip of my finger. I'm just going to put this in the areas that my pores are the largest. So for me, that's basically my T-zone. And also keep in mind I did get married in the middle of the summer. So my skin was pretty oily. Right now it's pretty much combo. It does get a tiny bit shiny in the T-zone by the end of the day, but nothing crazy. Alright, I'm gonna let that sink in for a minute. On the day of my wedding, I really wanted to look bright and, you know, just kind of radiant. And so I wanted to make sure I had no dark circles because when you're getting married, there are a lot of sleepless nights. And if you're like me and you worry a lot, you know, there are a lot of sleepless nights. So I will say my wedding went so smooth. Like, I was super blessed. Nothing went wrong. I loved everything about it. So I really can't complain too much. But I was stressing out about it because that's just the kind of person I am. So I had some dark circles under my eyes that I needed to fix. And I also, just in general, have a lot of veining under here and even like on the side of my temples there. So a color corrector does really help counteract that, and I didn't want those to be showing on the day of my wedding. And the color corrector that I used on the day of my wedding is the NYX Dark Circle Concealer Corrector. And now I do keep this in my kit because I like that Maybelline one that I've been using in some of my videos, but this does the job. So I just put it underneath my eyes, kind of over where I have that veining. And then I probably just went in with my finger and patted it out, honestly. Which is totally fine to do. Okay, so you can see that really just brightened up my under eye. And now we can go in with foundation. The foundation that I used on my wedding day is the Too Faced Born This Way Undetectable Medium to Full Coverage Foundation. You can see I was not this color on my wedding day. I did get a spray tan, so I am going to have to mix this with my NYX Pro Foundation Mixer Drops in white. I absolutely love the way that this foundation looks on my skin. I will say, if you are super oily, like the oiliest of oily, I don't know if I really recommend this foundation for you on your wedding day, but it can work, and I use this on almost all skin types, and I keep this in my kit now just because it looks so natural and radiant. And of course, I mean, you guys will see in a second when I get done putting it on. If you do have pretty oily skin, I would say another one that I recommend is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Stick Foundation. I do not like the Ultra HD Liquid Foundation, but the stick one I absolutely love. If you have super dry skin, I wouldn't recommend that one. I would still go for this one. If you want something high-end, of course, I have a billion drugstore foundations that I love. You guys know that. So I'll probably end up using 2 pumps maybe. Maybe 1.5. It's a pretty liquidy foundation. And I'm just going to use a little bit of the whitener drops. Alright, now we're just going to go all over the face. I don't know if I got enough whitening drops. Oh well. And I will say, I don't have a lot of scarring or anything like that to cover up. My biggest concern is mostly redness, so I don't really need a full coverage foundation, so that's why I ended up going with this one. And then I used a beauty blender to blend it all out. This one is the like swirly one, but I'm pretty sure that I just had a regular old beauty blender on the day of. And this does just blend out so effortlessly into the skin. That's why I love it so much. I am taking just a little bit more mixed in with some more of those whitening drops because this was a little bit too dark for me. But I can also show you guys that it is a buildable foundation if you do want more coverage. And you do want to make sure on your wedding day that you get it matched up with your neck, especially if you're getting a spray tan. Like for me, the lady that gave me the spray tan, I didn't have her spray my face because it can break you out and I didn't want that, so. And I do recommend that you get a practice spray tan. So for me, I was in school, so I got a spray tan over spring break when I was home, and then I went shopping, and that's when I bought all the makeup for my wedding. So that's when I went to like Ulta, I think it was, and I bought this Too Faced foundation because I didn't want to, you know, wait till the week of the wedding and not know what skin tone I was going to be and that sort of thing. So if you're used to getting spray tans or you're used to self-tanning and you know what shade you are, then that's not a problem. But for me, I don't tan on the regular, so I wanted to make sure that I knew what color I was going to be. So I do recommend doing that if you're not used to having a tan. So if you are going to get your makeup done, make sure if you're doing a trial run that you have your spray tan or you have your tan and you know what color you're going to be, so that on the day of, it doesn't end up being ghost face and tan skin. But you can see this is a fairly radiant foundation, and it does cover all my redness. I just love the way that this foundation looks. Too Faced is no longer one of my favorite brands, but you'll see I have a lot of Too Faced stuff in here because I knew it is a pretty reliable brand, or at least it used to be. Let's move on to concealer. So I'm not going to need a lot of concealer, and since I already did the color correcting and foundation, I wanted to use just kind of a lightweight concealer. For me, that is the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer. I have mine in the shade 15 Fair, which is actually the second shade, I believe, but it's actually lighter than the first. And I don't need to put this all over in the triangle situation. I just want a little bit just to help brighten. On the day of my wedding, I'm pretty sure I used the shade Light since my skin was darker. And we're just gonna blend it out. Okay, so you can see now my face is just really bright, and the concealer is radiant too. So I do like to let the concealer just kind of sit and the foundation sit and sink in before I set it with powder. That's going to help it last longer if you give it time to set. If you set a wet foundation and a wet concealer, it's more likely to rub off throughout the day. So I'm going to go ahead and let that sit for a couple of minutes. And again, on your wedding day, you want to take the time to pamper yourself. So give yourself time to sit and relax, talk with your friends during this time. I mean, you can go check on whatever you need to check on. You don't want to have to rush. And I cannot stress that enough. I know it seems like you have to do rush, 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 plan out your time so wisely, but plan for this time. If you think on a normal day it takes you 30 minutes to get ready, plan for an hour and a half. I'm not kidding. It's going to feel so much better if you can sit down and do your makeup at your own time. And if you have a maid of honor or your mother's there or whatever, or you have someone that can help you be in charge of the wedding, tell them the stuff that you want to get done before the wedding. You don't want to have to be the one running around saying, oh, this is where the flowers go, oh, the men need this, you know, things like that. Make sure somebody is designated to do that so that you have the time to relax. I was so thankful, and I'm so blessed to have such great family and friends that did take care of me on my wedding day, and they took care of all of the stuff. They were in charge of getting, you know, the guest book moved over from the church to the reception area, and I didn't have to worry about a thing. Now, me being me, and I'm a worrier, I still did. I still did worry. I knew it was in good hands, and I just cannot stress enough to make sure they know what to do before the wedding day, because nothing is more annoying than trying to get ready and have people come up to you left and right. Where do you want this? Well, what do you want the photographer to do with this? Well, blah, blah, blah. Talk about that beforehand so that you don't have to do that on your wedding day, and you can just take the time to relax and think about the fact that you're marrying your best friend that day. It's such a great feeling, and I do regret not taking it all in. And even though everyone told me beforehand, make sure you give yourself time to take it in, make sure you know, just enjoy the day, it goes by like that. I swear to you, the whole day for me felt like 30 minutes. Our ceremony was 30 minutes long, and I felt like it took 2 seconds. I felt like I walked up there, I kissed my husband, and I walked back out. So just try to enjoy all those little things. Enjoy the time that you have to pamper yourself. I just cannot stress that enough. Alright, so we've given this time to kind of set in, and it's still a little bit tacky, but that's okay. That's typical with these radiant foundations. And I just go ahead and go over my under eye area one more time because that is where it tends to crease the most. And then I'm using my RCMA No Color Powder. This I keep in my kit all the time because it is the best translucent powder. No flashback, no nothing. The container sucks. It looks like a freaking salt shaker, but I just take a little bit and we are going to be doing some bacon. Not bacon as in like the pork product, but baking as in bake in the face. And you're just going to apply it right in there where you're going to get the creases. Wow, I look beautiful. Okay, another trick that I did on my wedding day is applied my cream contour underneath my powder contour just to help it last longer. So I'm using this Wet n Wild Mega Glow dual-ended contour stick. I can't remember if this is what I used on my wedding day or if it was one by NYX. And then I take this stippling brush by e.l.f. and I'm just going to blend it out. Just using very light motions. If you do not contour on the regular, don't contour on your wedding day. You want to look like you. There are so many brides I see that get their makeup done or do it themselves and they think they have to look like a different person on their wedding day. Do what makes you happy. Do what makes you feel confident and beautiful and sexy and, you know, do what makes you happy. Like I said before, if you don't wear a wing, God, do not try one on your wedding day. That's going to go terrible and then you're going to feel bad about yourself and not feel confident in it. Just don't do it. You don't have to live up to somebody's expectations of your wedding day. You just do what makes you feel beautiful. And if you are getting your makeup done by someone, be honest with them. You know, I do makeup and hair on people for a living too, for weddings and formals and proms and things like that. And I always stress to them, if you do not like something, you have to tell me because I'm not the one wearing the makeup. You're the one wearing the makeup. It's important that you feel happy and you feel beautiful. It's not going to hurt my feelings if you don't like the fact that I added too much black in the outer corner. If that's not you, tell me. I won't do it again, which is again why I love trial runs. So if you're getting your makeup or hair done, do a trial run. It's totally worth it because you do not want to be surprised on your wedding day and not feel confident and beautiful. Alright, then I'm going to take some more of that powder. I'm going to put it right underneath where we did that contour. And it's going to sharpen that line. And then I am going to bake like my chin area. I'm going to bake my forehead because that's where I tend to get oily, especially like on my wedding day. Like I said, I got married in June in Kansas and it's hot. And I'm going to go around my nose. Now for my trick. So we basically mattified a lot of the area on the face. So I'm taking the Wet n Wild bronzer and Reserve Your Cabana, which is kind of a lightly shimmery white powder. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell. You can see it's just got barely any sheen to it. And I'm going to take my e.l.f. highlighting brush, which is just kind of like a fluffy brush. I'm going to tap into this and I'm going to dust off the bake. And by doing this, you're adding that glow back without making it dewy and tacky. We got that glow, that natural glow back into the skin, even though we just mattified everything. If you want to be extra matte in certain areas, like where you think you're going to get oily, I would recommend taking a translucent pressed powder like the Fit Me Matte and Poreless from Maybelline, and just take your beauty blender or your sponge, take a little bit on the sponge, and just pack that right where you want to control the oils a little bit more. That way you're not taking away the glow from the other parts of your face, but you are going to help to control those oils. Alright, now that my face is totally set in, and you can always check too, run your finger over it. If it's still a little bit tacky, add some more powder, but mine is pretty much all the way set in, so I'm going to go ahead and do bronzer. And for that, I used the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer. This one is just their original shade. It's kind of a neutrally, almost a little bit warm bronzer. And it is going to be a touch dark for me today, I think. Just because, like I said, I am not as tan as I was on the day of my wedding. We're just going to take a little bit, and I'm just going to hit at the high points where I would naturally be bronzed. It smells like chocolate. If I was going to get married again, like let's say Ian and I were going to renew our vows, I wouldn't use this bronzer. Do y'all know what bronzer I would use? Yeah, I would probably use the Physicians Formula. This one's really good, but it's pricey, and the Physicians Formula one is not as pricey. So then I just kind of lightly dust it onto my cheeks. And then you want to make sure you add some down here below. And take some on your neck as well. Alright, next up is contouring. So I used the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. On my Real Techniques contour brush, I'm going to go into this shade right here. I think on the day of I mixed these two because they're the more cool tone shades and I was a little bit darker. So that's what we're going to do today. And I just focus that right in the hollows of my cheeks. And kind of buff in back and forth and then circular motions. And then I take whatever's left and we're going down the sides of the nose really lightly. And contouring the nose is just a preference. You don't have to do it. For blush, I used the Too Faced Love Flush Long Lasting 16-Hour Blush in the shade Baby Love. Mine is all cracked and sad because I dropped it on our honeymoon and then I had to fix it. So this is just a beautiful kind of natural looking blush that does give a little bit of a sheen. And then I used the Wet n Wild by Fergie Center Stage Collection To Reflect Shimmer Palette in the shade Rosé Champagne Glow. And they do still make this. I think it's just not like a Fergie collection anymore. And I think you can get it in the shade Hollywood Boulevard. It's very similar to this. It's just a beautiful kind of rose gold pinky highlight. If I got married today, again tomorrow, I probably would not use this. Just because there are other highlights that I like more, but this is an amazing drugstore affordable option. And the reason I wouldn't use this now is because it is just a little bit pinky. And I would probably with this look use a more gold champagne kind of color, but it worked. Now here's my secret for getting those really glowy pictures. Once you put it on where you want to really concentrate it, take whatever's left on your brush and I literally buff it in all over the center of the face. Like on my chin, on my cupid's bow, on the nose, all the way up to the forehead. I don't bring it in here because we don't want to highlight any texture. But see, it just looks so glowy and naturally pretty. Another trick you can do to look even more fresh face is to not add anything to your lower lash line. That's what I did. All I did was put on mascara, so I'm going to do that now. Today I'm using the Wet n Wild Mega Length Mascara. While the lower lashes are drying, I like to set my brows, and I'm using the clear Maybelline Great Lash to do that today. This does help your brows to look really natural, but it's not the most long-lasting hold. So if you have very crazy brow hairs, I would not recommend this. Okay, so for upper lashes on the day of the wedding, I did use the Tarteist Lash Paint Mascara. I absolutely love that mascara, but I don't have it in my collection right now because I used up the bottle that I had. So I'm just going to be using this Marc Jacobs Velvet Noir Major Volume Mascara. I love this mascara too. It does basically the same thing as the Tarte does. Now I will say I had every intention of wearing false lashes on my wedding day, but when it got to the day of, I decided that I really don't need them. So if you have very short lashes and you feel like they're not going to be able to be seen in the picture, go ahead and maybe have a friend, have one of your bridesmaids practice putting them on you first. That's what I would do, is make sure you practice. Anything that you're worried about for your wedding, talk about it with someone first, practice it first. You know, do something so that you don't have to worry about it on the day of. You've already been through it and you know how the outcome is going to be. Then I do my mascara trick where I add it to the back of the lashes. While that's drying, I am going to take some of the highlight that we used and put that in my inner corner just to kind of brighten things up a little bit. Again, we want to give it that natural glow. You can see that just adds so much more to it. Just makes the look even more bright. Then I'm just going back in on the front of the lashes. I like really full, dramatic lashes, so that's why I put on the 3 coats, but you just do however much or however little you want to do. And I know a lot of people recommend to get a waterproof mascara for your wedding day, and I don't disagree with that, but at the same time, I did tear up a little bit. I didn't like full on cry or anything, so you have to know yourself. I mean, if you're going to be bawling, I would recommend to get some waterproof mascara. But the Tarte Lash Paint Mascara, it didn't smudge on me or anything, and I used that on my lower lashes too. And I did tear up, you know, I got a little bit teary-eyed, but it didn't smudge or anything like that. So I wouldn't, you know, specifically worry about that. If you already have a mascara that you love and that you've tried and you know is kind of smudge proof, just stick with that one. So for lips, I used 3 things. For lip liner, I used the L'Oreal Color Riche lip liner in the shade Beyond Pink. It's a beautiful pinky nude. For my lipstick, I used the Jordana Modern Matte lipstick in the shade Matte Blush. I've talked about this before. You guys know it's one of my favorites. And then I topped it off with the L'Oreal, it's like the Color Riche lip gloss in the shade Rose Melody. I don't think that they make this anymore, but any L'Oreal lip gloss would do just fine. So I'm going to start by lining my lips real quick. Then I'm going to apply the lipstick all over my lips. And honestly, you can leave it just like this if you want to, because even though this is a matte formula, it does still look beautiful and creamy on the lips. But I wanted just a touch of gloss in the center. Just to give it that little bit of something extra. So the look is totally complete now. All we have to do is set it in, and we gotta set this baby in. So on the day of my wedding, I know I used the Mario Badescu Rose Water Spray. I don't have that one right now. I have the one that has cucumber and aloe because that's my favorite. So I'm going to show you guys my method. And I have done a 2-minute tips on this method. So I spray this first and I pat it in, and then I'm going to go in with an actual setting spray that's going to help the makeup last longer. And of course, I recommend the Urban Decay All Nighter. This will not let your makeup budge, I promise you. If you need a drugstore alternative, the Milani Make It Last is almost as good. I would say it's about 90% as good as the Urban Decay, so it does work really well too, but I know that I use this one on my wedding day. So after I spray it, I just take my beauty blender and I'm just patting everything in. And this is going to help get rid of any powderiness that we have, any cakiness, although the products I used, they don't get cakey. We just look like a glowing goddess. And then I'm going to spray the Urban Decay. And same thing, just lightly pat it in. And that, my friends, is my bridal makeup look. This is what I did on my wedding day. Very simple, very just glowy and radiant, and that's how I wanted to feel on my wedding day. If you want to go full glam, red lip, smoky eye, you do you. Like I said, you have to do whatever makes you feel confident, whatever makes you feel pretty and beautiful, and trust me, no matter what you do, you are going to look beautiful on your wedding day because it's your and your significant others. It's your special day together. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want a more in-depth video on more just like wedding advice, like planning my wedding on my actual wedding day, what I did to kind of pamper myself, you know, anything like that, let me know. Even like honeymoon trip advice, things like that. Let me know down in the comments below. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel before you leave. I will see you all in my next video. Bye.